Welcome back to This Week in Missouri Politics Daily Update, and today I'm joined by a very special guest. We are joined by Senator Carla May out of St. Louis. Senator, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm very sorry we had to pull you in here today. I know you had a long night last night, so.
Interesting light.
Well, let's see. So obviously you got some big changes coming out of your home city. St. Louis obviously had their big elections, and now we have a new mayor, a new comptroller, which that I thought that was an interesting race to watch. But tell me, what did you get out of the St. Louis elections? Did you think that there was a desire for change from the electorate? Did you think that there were some other factors in there as well?
Well, I think that what happened, we had a series of, I think, unprecedented things that happened in the last 4 years, of the mayor's term. We had COVID.
Yep.
We had an influx of money. We had, we had a whole bunch of things that you had to do. The worst winter.
Yep.
Winter storms. So it's just a lot of things that you had to address. And I think it would have been challenging for any person that was sitting in that seat. So, and what I think I'm looking for is somebody with a vision. See, people take leadership positions, but they don't actually have a vision for what needs to happen.
Yeah. Ultimately, it's the person behind the desk that drives what the agenda is going to be.
Absolutely. And the funny part about it is, if you don't have a plan or you don't know what the plan is, when people are trying to come to you to help you, you don't know how to plug them in because you haven't created, part of the plan.
Yeah. And so, so would you say like the issue there was that there just wasn't the correct, I guess, synergy going on in terms of who was where and who needed to be where in St. Louis to really get things going? Or was it, I don't know. Tashara is a very impressive figure in politics, and I don't think she necessarily had. I don't know if she necessarily had the agenda like you're talking about laid out for her during her time as mayor. That's just from an outsider watching, but I guess.
Well, I don't know if it was her agenda more so than it was the things that were happening.
Yeah.
That was like ununique.
Yeah, out of her control.
Out of her control. COVID. You had the city jail, the locks. It was just so much.
The weather there definitely did not help either. Yeah.
Yeah, so that whole problem with trying to fix the locks in the jail, the people getting out, the weather, the COVID. It was just so much, so many things that took away your focus from, trying to move the city forward.
Yeah.
There was so many, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a word to call them, but anomalies.
Anomaly, that's a great word.
Yeah, it was so many anomalies happening that it just took away the focus. And I think that, that was more it than anything.
Yeah. No,
so once I put out this fire, I got to run over and put out this fire, then it's another fire. And every fire, every storm, was a media storm. Like. So I think that was it too.
Do you think Kara's got kind of the vision laid out for her? Do you think there's something behind there driving her towards like a goal at some point, or what do you think is going to come from the new mayor? Do you think she's got something driving her? Or?
Well, I haven't been able to really discern that yet. So
it's still early. So
it's still early. And then doing the campaign, I didn't get any information as to a direction for the city. Basically when people are running for office, they're normally running off for what the previous administration didn't do.
Yep.
And they're saying that's what they're going to do. But at the same time, like I said, you can't make promises because you don't know what you have to do when you get there or what the breadth of your power is until you actually get in the seat.
Yeah. No, I think from what I heard from a lot of the people at the Capitol, they're very hopeful that things change in St. Louis in terms of the direction that they go, whether it be trash pickup, whether it be crime, whether it be the economic output of the city. Because obviously, so I come from the opposite side. I come from Kansas City, but I couldn't go without acknowledging the fact that what happens in St. Louis matters for the state.
Oh,
And,
absolutely. I
and
mean, we started the state. We're the oldest city
yeah.
in the state. So, you know what, 250 years?
And Scott would probably tell you that you've also got the only baseball team that matters in the state too. So.
Right. And so, of course, what matters there. And if you're a person that lives in the city, you're always going to be hopeful. And the thing about being hopeful is being able to help to move the city forward. And hopefully, the people that are in leadership would receive that help and direction from the other leaders in the city.
I only asked if you thought it was a change because obviously the comptroller race was really interesting to see. I mean, Donna Behringer came in and pretty much won that race against a 30-year incumbent, which to me that looks like a change. Now maybe there were some other things there, some other factors, whether it be the campaigning style she approached or not, but I could be wrong.
No, I think you're right. I mean, it's a change because, you know, sometimes people want to change. So Darlene had been there 30 years. Sometimes people just want to see something different. And we saw that with a lot of incumbents in the U.S. Congress. We saw, you know, those changes happening. You saw it happen up in New York. People was unseating long-term incumbents because they wanted to see change and they wanted to see dynamics. Now, what is the performance of the people that took those seats or that, you know, that unseated those incumbents? It remains to be seen.
Yeah. Scott kind of pointed to me. It's kind of like stocks. You buy low and then you sell high. And I think, and the way he explained it to me is that right now, as he sees it, it's St. Louis is low, and we're going to start buying now. And St. Louis, I mean, eventually, I think Governor Keogh's got a plan for it. You may disagree. I think Keogh's got a very good plan to kind of bring back St. Louis, bring business back to St. Louis in some ways. But right now, it kind of does seem like the low point. Not maybe in the city's history, but low point as in like economic factors, and now it's going to start shooting back up in terms of whether it be investment or crime. But that's just the way Scott explained it to me.
Well, let me tell you this. So, I mean, it's nice that the governor has a plan, but has he communicated that plan to the people that represent the city of St. Louis? You follow me? You can't have silo plans, because it doesn't work in St. Louis. See, that's the unique thing about St. Louis. People, when they're not included, they fight against the plan. Yeah. You got me? If you leave me out, I've been here forever. You follow me? You want to gentrify my community without any input from my community. And most of the business people who got businesses there, they don't live there. That's not their everyday residents and, you know, living in the streets of St. Louis. Yeah. So it's important that whatever vision you have for the city, it's important that you communicate that vision. Yeah. You have a plan. It's important to include the people that are also representing people in the city of St. Louis, so that those people can communicate your plan and say, you know, we're moving in this direction. We're going to move the city forward this way. We're going to change the city. You got to be a good communicator in that sense.
Yeah, and that's the thing I noticed. I thought was very striking is that you, whenever it came up, the crime bill, you obviously were very staunchly in favor of protecting your community. And I think that's why a lot of people respect you, because you stick to your community, you stick to defending their community. And I thought that was the most impressive thing out of that whole thing, was that you stuck through it the entire way. And whatever happened there, you got everything you needed to get done in terms of being able to protect the St. Louis community. I thought that was very impressive.
Yes, I appreciate that. Yes. But the thing about it is, it's about local control. It's about people having a voice in their government. And what people keep on failing to realize is that people elect us to represent them. Yep. It's not the other way around. And you got this position and now you're above the people that elected you. It's like you forget who hired you. And that's the problem that we have most times. Yeah. You can't forget it. The Missouri Constitution won't let you forget it. Article 1, Section 1 of the Constitution, and I'm paraphrasing, says that political power is invested in the people and it's founded upon their will only.
Yep.
So when you're trying to overturn them, evidently, if the people is rising up, passing stuff, they're not satisfied with the people that they've elected to represent their interests, or the people that they elected to represent them is representing special interests and not their interests. So I think, that's the key. When the people are crying out, they're crying out. Just like the bill we were doing for over 10 hours last night.
Yeah.
People need sick leave. People need an increase in minimum wage. $15 an hour is still poverty. You follow me?
Yeah.
So even that minimum, it increasing with the cost of living, it hasn't even risen to the cost of living. So why are you trying to keep people impoverished while you make all the money? The scale's supposed to be balanced. That's what they said about the scales of justice. They're supposed to be balanced.
Yeah.
They don't supposed to be imbalanced. And I don't understand why people are interested in imbalance. I think it's selfish and greed and things like that.
Yeah. No, I definitely, so I come from independence, so there's a lot of small businesses in my community. I totally get the argument that this could negatively hurt a lot of small businesses there.
I don't believe that.
You don't think so?
No. Why would it hurt small businesses? And why wouldn't you want your employees to be happy? And why would you want your employees to come to work sick? So, for instance, I understand if I'm not talking about a minor cold, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if I'm running a fever of 103, 104, you want me at work. Would you actually be at work? You understand what I'm saying?
No, yeah.
And why would you want me to have to quit or leave when you've trained me to do a job and now I'm at home, but I'm sick, no fault of my own, but I don't have 1 day that I can take or 2 days that I can take where I can still get paid? Those hits in people's paycheck, because you're paying them poverty, they're making poverty wages anyway, is detrimental. It could be a person's being put out on the street. Not being able to pay rent, not being able to pay their mortgage, things like that. So I think that it's a balance between businesses and the community. People want businesses to thrive. Businesses need workers in order to thrive. If you want to talk about this, let's talk about, the Wagner Act. I kept talking about it on the floor in 1935. This was the fight between unions. This was before this was basically before this when African Americans was still under Jim Crow back then. And then you had the fight between the unions about working conditions in these different businesses and factories.
Yeah.
And you had that fight. That's why you had the National Labor Relations Board established then, because of workers' conditions. And we're still fighting the same old stuff.
Because your filibusters are always so informational. Like I actually, usually I almost like fall asleep during Senate filibusters, but whenever you and Senator Washington get on the floor, which is my new favorite pair, I hope you guys, if there continues to be filibuster, I hope they keep you too, because those are my favorite conversations. But you always actually do bring in like a really unique viewpoint on history, and you always bring in a lot of really cool historical points, and I'm like, I enjoy that stuff. Some people may not, but I actually do really like that.
I appreciate it.
And so it was always really entertaining to listen in. I actually really enjoy it. Felt like I was back in history class, but I enjoyed history class. So.
Yeah, but it's like, how did we get here?
Yeah.
It's always we're looking at things in silos, but it's like, how do we arrive at this point?
Yeah.
And I think the legislation only says, 10 employees or more. A lot of small businesses don't have 10 employees. Some of them have 2 or 3 employees, so they won't really affect them. But even if I think the first part of the legislation that I saw, you had to work 30 hours before you could even gain 1 day of sick time. So, and then it was a cap on it. So I don't think it was egregious to the point that it would cause small businesses harm.
Yeah. I definitely do agree with the Democrat line, though. That the voters did vote for this, and I think Senator Weber made a very good point last night that, at this point, it just seems like this is just going to keep going and going, like this sort of same style of the voters wanted something, they didn't get it in their local communities for some reason or not, and then later on they bring it up on a statewide ballot, and the ballot passes overwhelmingly, and then the legislature has to go back and address it because there's issues with it here and there. And so at the end of the day, do you see this continuing, this sort of same cycle of?
Well, the reason that the cycle is continuing is because these people think they're in touch, but evidently they're not.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I'm gonna give you a couple examples. For this one, the state voted overwhelmingly. In the House of Representatives, you only need 82 votes to pass anything. These people voted 109 out of 163 House districts voted in favor of this. In the Senate, you need 18 votes to pass anything. 20 Senate districts out of 34 voted in favor of this.
And a good chunk of Republican
you got
ones
me?
too.
Oh yeah, these are a good chunk of Republicans. They gerrymandered the maps. So most of it Republicans. Come on now. 8 congressional districts. Shoot, we only got 2 Democratic congressional districts in the state. So 6 out of 8 congressional districts. So if you say we only got 2 Democrats, what is the rest? That leaves what? 4 Republican congressional districts voted in favor of this. People want change. They are hurting. They know their families are hurting. Their children are hurting. Everybody's trying to make a living. People can't even afford to buy homes.
Yeah.
I mean, so you have to address all of that. Then if you look at the Medicare. Medicare passed overwhelmingly across the state. People need health care. And if you don't have healthy people, they can't do anything else. So people realized that they needed health care, and the legislature I'm not going to say the legislature, I'm going to say the Republicans.
That's
right.
That's
fair. The Republicans want to overturn everything that the people does. Why is that? You get me? You should ask that question. And then they're talking about, it ain't Amendment 3. You asked me about the abortion issue.
Yeah.
Well, I think it wasn't really, I don't think it was more about abortion. I think it was more about a person's right to make their own decisions.
Yeah.
More so than it was about the issue of abortion. You get me? You're taking away my fundamental right to decide.
Yeah.
And that's what that was about.
Because now that's what they're trying to come back with, is with the exception. So it seems like they've kind of realized that there needs to be a sort of a middle ground approach to it. But
a middle ground approach. And if you're taking away a person, they're going to fight back when you take away their right to decide. Because most of the people I know, because the same people that voted for Donald Trump was the same people that passed the abortion
and passed amendment
Proposition A in the state. Them was the same people. So it amazes me how they voted Republican here and then they voted to do this here. So these are Republicans. And what it is people saying, don't take away my rights. And you want to say that you're a small government. You're not.
No,
you're infringing on the people's rights, and the people are pushing back. They're not allowing you to do certain things. They might like Donald Trump because, they didn't told people that they didn't made a taboo out of immigrants. Yeah. So people, then created all of these, stories. Whether they're true or not, who knows? And so, people, that's what they led on. So people voted for that. Aliens are coming to take over the country. I'm making a joke. But at the same time, people are pushing back against their ability to choose and govern their own lives. That's what they're pushing back against.
Well, Senator, I know you got places to be. I know it was a late night last night, and you want to get back home. So I want to thank you so much for being on today. It was a pleasure to have you.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Tune in next week. We'll have in a full week next week for the daily. So make sure to tune in there as well. Thank you.